I don't like this. I just want to be happy. What does that even mean? I will say I want an abundant life full of rich relationships because there's times in the day. I don't want to say I'm overwhelmingly happy, but I'll say one thing that I was thinking about is most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in five. And it takes patience and consistency and a little bit of discipline. And I'd rather be more disciplined. That's probably the number one characteristic is this idea of discipline. And if you work on your discipline skills, and that happens for me through accountability with other people. But if you got good at those things, it's amazing what you can accomplish.
Hi, this is Tim Westbrook. Welcome to I Love Being Sober. We talk about life and recovery, mental health, biohacking, alternative therapies, and everything related to living a kick-ass sober life. So let's dig in. Welcome back to I Love Being Sober. If you're new here, this show is about building a life in sobriety, mental health, recovery, purpose, and what it actually takes to stay well in a high-pressure world. Today, I'm joined by Tommy Mello. Tommy is the founder and CEO of A1 Garage Door, a company he started in 2007 that's grown into a national brand headquartered right here in Phoenix. Tommy's also the host of The Home Service Expert and is known for building teams, culture, and serious scale. What I want to focus on today isn't just growth, it's what growth costs. Tommy has talked openly about his working extreme hours while building his business and later realizing he needed to make changes around health, mindset, and lifestyle, including stepping away from alcohol for a period and rethinking how he handles stress and pressure. A lot of our clients here are navigating the same core issues: identity, overdrive, burnout, and learning how to succeed without self-destructing. So this is a conversation about ambition, balance, and what it looks like to build something meaningful without losing yourself in the process. Tommy, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Tim.
Okay, so I'm excited for this conversation. And so let's start with when you look back at the phase where you were working nonstop, what did that level of intensity give you emotionally?
Yeah, look, I mean, what could go wrong did go wrong when I built the business. I had people stealing from me, trucks flipping over, the police were coming in. It went bad. And it was a grind. I mean, every day was a grind. I mortgaged my house to get a consultant in 2017. I was born to work, though, so I never had a hard time. My mom worked 3 jobs when I was a kid. Dad was still around, but not as much. He went through his own trials. So I think for me, it was just like, when I was 4 years old, listening to my mom and dad argue about bills through the drywall, standing on the toilet to the master, I just decided money was not going to be a problem for my future family. And what that meant is I neglected everything else but the finance department. It meant that I'd work hard and I'd party hard. And, I wasn't close to God. I wasn't working out like I should have been, taking care of myself. I didn't have enough time with family and friends. Uh, But it all happened for a reason. I think it's true. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And for me, I don't know if I would have changed a whole lot because I definitely had a lot of good highs and I had a lot of bottom out. But yeah, overall, it's tough. But what you learn to do is delegate more. You learn to trust more. That was the hardest thing in 2010. When everything was going wrong, the only person I could actually count on in my life, I called mom and I said, "Hey, would you consider moving to Phoenix and helping me out with this business?" She was born in 1954. Her whole life was Michigan. She talked to my stepdad and they moved out within 2 weeks. And they were my rock. And without them being here, I don't know if I'd be in this seat right now with this business. We have 1,300 employees. We're in 23 states. We run 25,000 jobs a month. And I think trust is like the hardest thing to come by. Without trust, you don't have anything.
Right. And at what point did you realize that the grind was starting to cost you something internally?
There was a lot of things that had happened. I mean, relationship after relationship. If you wanted to go on a date, we were gonna fix garage doors together. I mean, I was walking out of the movie theater saying, "I gotta leave. I gotta go run a call." I was everything. I thought if unfortunately, I was the smartest guy in the room. Now I'm the dumbest guy in my business. I've hired very smart people, specialists that know what they're doing, and I pride myself on saying this person could run circles around me, and I'm not. I don't have too much pride. I really go back to my humility of just saying I've been very fortunate. There's a great book that you know about, Who Not How. Get the right people on the bus And now I'm focused on 6 F's. Faith, family and friends, fitness. Fitness is really important because I want to have energy throughout the day. Finance, future self, and fun. And I will say I've always had a lot of fun because I can have fun. I'm having fun right now. But I go to Impact Church down the street here in Scottsdale, and I try to be a little more well-rounded. I know I'm not balanced perfectly because I think I'm off balance on purpose, but things are good, man. I mean, I love life. I just had an ankle surgery and I got the brace off, and I'm like, sometimes you don't know what you have. There's so much to complain about. You can look at what's going on in Minnesota or going on in Iran or Ukraine and all these things that are uncontrollables. And I've got perfect health. I wake up with energy. I live in the most, I think this is the beautiful state ever. And I've got so much to be thankful for. And I think that sometimes we forget that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's billions and billions of people that would trade places with you today. And sometimes we don't remember that.
Right. Right. And what I'm hearing is gratitude, being in gratitude. Have you always been a person that was in gratitude?
No, no, but I've never been a victim either. I didn't say life happens to me. I control the decisions of the controllables. I don't control the weather. I don't control the traffic, but I control getting up and choosing to be happy. So I will say there are times that I thought, why is this happening to me? Why does things keep going wrong? And then I realized I got so much, there's 2 billion stars in our galaxy. There's 4 trillion galaxies that they know about.
Right.
And they say there's at least 20 times that. So 100 trillion galaxies. My problems aren't that big, is my point. I'm like, if you really think about, like, I got my health, my parents are still healthy, my niece and nephews are great. I got a fiance who's doing amazing, and death is going to happen to all of us. So might as well live the best life. There's a great book called Die with Zero, and it just says live your life. If you do well on the finance side, give a lot away, and see the fruits of your labor helping people.
And how do you think that positive mindset has helped you in life?
Well,
And why are it's like making the decision to be happy? Because we all have situations. Life happens for you, not to you. We can either be a victim or we can be grateful. We can either look for the positives and where I'm at today as a result of the things that I've encountered. And how do you think that's helped you?
well, you show me your friends, I'll show you your future. I do an orientation. There's 62 people right now at our training center. And I say, misery loves misery. You guys that are going to be victims, say you're in a bad area, the dispatchers don't like you, you hate your life. You're going to find other ones. You need those people. You need somebody to have the sympathy and somebody's shoulder to cry on. The other people that I hang out with, they're like, get your head out of your ass. You're doing great. You're going to win the day. And that's what I mean is you hang out with the right people. I could show anybody, give me the 5 closest people you're hanging out with, I'll tell you your future. I mean, here's my litmus test. When the phone rings, do I smile? I get excited to answer it. I'm like, oh, great. Here we go. This is somebody that's going to fill my head with how bad things are going. And they look at, and the cup is not only half empty, it's always empty. And those are people, unfortunately, some of them are in my family. Some of them are very close to me. I had to literally cut them off because I can't be around that because I could go down that. It's not a good path to go down.
So you've continued to elevate yourself throughout your life. And what I think about is when I first got sober, I was a different person. Different people were attracted to me. And I see this all the time with people that are early on in recovery. It's like you've got your 5, you've got the 5 people that you're closest to. And I've been able to it's taken years, and as I continue elevating my life, I continue attracting different people into my life. Because the person I was 15 years ago is a different person than I am today, and I attract different people. But if someone wants to become a better version of themselves, they've got to start hanging out with different people. And I see, again, like people that are early on in recovery, the 5 people that they're closest to are that. It's like you attract who you are. And so how do you start attracting different people?
Well, it's all, there's great books about habits, 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, the 8th Habit. There's another habit book. I can't think of it right now, but you got to replace those habits. Like I can tell you this: when I play volleyball, I like to drink. When I golf, I like to drink. When I go bowling, I love to drink. So probably stay away from the things. I can't play soccer and drink. I can't play racquetball and drink.
Right.
It's just not possible. You're moving too much. So you got to replace things. And I think the biggest thing that in my first book I wrote about creative justification, people justify why it's okay, and they create these. The easiest person to convince is yourself. Like it's fine. So I started reading a lot about Robert Cialdini's book Influence, and I met Robert Cialdini, goes by Bob. And you got to make a commitment. First, admit you have a problem, and then make a commitment and yell it from the rooftops. And you got to have a strong why behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm more likely to be committed to other people that'll hold me accountable than myself, because I can convince myself. Nighttime Tommy's like, you're going to get up at 5 and go in the cold plunge. Morning Tommy's like, you can do that later. You can sleep in. But if I have somebody meet me at 5, that's counting on me, that's my accountability partner, I'm not going to let them down.
Right.
And that's the hardest thing is get great accountability partners. And if you get great accountability partners that want to see the best in you, there's other people you could have that say, hey, dude, man, I got a lot going on at home today. The kids aren't doing well. Can we just miss this week of working out, or miss this time of prayer time or going to church? Those are not great accountability partners. So I want my buddies and the friends I hang out with to be strict with me. I want them to hold me to the highest standard, and I'm going to hold them to the same one. I've got an accountability call tonight, and I got 5 people doing this fast with me because it's not easy to do a 5-day water. Well, there's electrolytes here, but the biggest word of my life now is accountability, and who's going to help me stay accountable to my goals, my dreams, and what I want in the future.
And so I heard you talk about health and fitness and getting hobbies that are basically that you can't really drink and do drugs. Really is what I heard. And that's for me, I'm coming up on 15 years, and that was the first thing I did was I started focusing on health and fitness, and whether it's walking, it's hiking, it's running, it's cycling, it's doing yoga, it's doing CrossFit. It's going to church, like whatever it is, these are activities that don't revolve around drugs and alcohol. So finding those hobbies and interests that are not conducive to alcohol and drugs are helpful.
Dana White said, I used to get high off Coke for an hour. Obviously, you keep doing it, so it's multiple hours. But the cold plunge gets me for 8 hours. The serotonin, the release, the stuff that it does for me. So I'm not saying, I don't know exactly what Dana White, I don't hang out with him, but he's found things that literally give him a natural high. When I go on a 45-minute walk and I'm in my own head and I'm in nature and the mountains are around Paradise Valley and I'm breathing the air and I'm grounded and I reflect, it changed my life completely. And just to be happy and say, like, life is really, really good. Life is whatever you make of it, so might as well make it a great life. I don't think there's anybody that ever reflected on their deathbed and they're like, man, I wish I would have just drank more and did more drugs. I mean, that really fulfilled me. I think it's an escape zone, and I think it's very addictive. Look, if addiction is a real thing, Joe Paul talks all about this. And it's mind over matter. It's really the willpower, but you got to, Simon Sinek would say, you need a huge why behind it. And the biggest problem I see with people that have addiction is they do it for everybody. I'm doing this for my family. I'm doing this for this. I'm doing this for my grandma, whatever it is. What if you just did it for you? What if you saw the potential in yourself? What if you loved yourself enough to say, I want more, I deserve better, and I want to be in control?
And what were the first signs, mentally or physically, that something needed to change? And now we're going back to the grind and to the workaholism, workaholism is the respectable addiction.
Yeah, well, look, I don't work, like, people are like, how do you turn it off? I'm like, you should see me. I turn it off all the time. I'm very good at it now. My brain still works, and like I whiteboard. I got whiteboards all around the house. I got my vibe boards, but I really like to live in the moment. There's a buddy of mine, Andy Elliott. He's controversial. He's like, you got to have a 6-pack, but that's just a media ploy. But he's like, be where your feet are. When you're at home, like, don't be on your phone. You could have plenty of time to go through social media, do what you like to do, or watch your Netflix shows. But if you're going to have dinner with your family, be at dinner, be where you're at. It's something that's very hard for me because scrolling kind of just lets off these natural endorphins and the serotonin release. It's these mini spikes. And it's definitely something where I've learned to own my calendar. I've got an executive assistant who's top notch. I mean, I was here on time. I just didn't know how to get upstairs. So, but she's very good at making sure I'm where I'm supposed to be. If you guys look at my calendar, I don't have a whole lot of time to screw off and do things. Like she just makes sure. I mean, this is today. It looks like the rainbow. Every single day, it'll have on there, read a book, call your mom. She'll walk in my office and say, "Hey, let's do 40 push-ups." She brings me my creatine. Like I'm very spoiled, but that was all by intention, as I bought back a lot of time with having great people around me.
So a lot of people use work the same way others use substances, as an escape, as a regulator, or as a way to avoid sitting still. Sitting still. Do you relate to that?
Yeah, I think it's hard for me. Like I don't eat. I don't have a passion for food. People think I went to prison or something. My dad had 12 kids in his family, so if you didn't eat fast, you wouldn't get your second meal. So I always watch my dad and I eat really fast. I'm not there to like I want to do stuff. I'm like, let's go for a walk. Let's go play a game. Let's go to a movie. Let's go whatever it is. And I just find it hard to just sit there. I'm glad I'm not in Europe because like they'll have like 4 hour lunches. I'm like, what do you do for 4 hours just sitting there? But it's something that I'm trying to just I'm trying to work on meditation, slowing down, really being in the moment.
What does being busy all the time protect you from feeling?
I don't know exactly. It's not a negative feeling. It's just I will say like I probably out delegate most people. Like if I don't have to do it, I won't do it. I can't like this morning I every time someone has an anniversary or birthday, I send them a video. But there are times where I'll just be sitting there and the first thing I do is go to Audible or read or unfortunately Instagram sometimes. But I just sitting there by myself doesn't really do much for me.
Right.
And it's something that I know I need to work on. But like I said, it's identifying these things, admitting that there's a problem, and then building a plan. And I'm really good. Like I'm connected to you, Joe, all these different people in my life. I'm working with Ed Milet and Patrick Bet David, and just I worked with Dan Martell for a long time, Cameron Harold. So I'll find somebody. Like, would you go to a trainer that was way out of shape? Probably not. You want to go to somebody that's like, this is your profession, you do this well. So I'll go out and ask for help. I'd say that's probably my best strength is being curious and asking for help every direction I could.
Right.
And just helping people analyze me, psychoanalyze me, because it's hard when
Yeah.
I'm in the bubble.
Well, and as they say, awareness is 90% of transformation.
Yeah.
So being curious and being aware of the fact that okay, something needs to change.
Yeah. I mean, look, I will say, look, drugs and alcohol don't do a ton for me. Working 24/7. The problem with working is so many people are proud of it. They'll say, I'll outwork you. And I'm like, you could outwork me. I mean, there's a lot of people in the coal mines and the landscaping companies that outwork me. I'm like, I use my brain. I hire great people. We pay them excellent. They can make an unbelievable living with equity in the business. And my job is to get myself out of a job. And the company grows. We did really a lot of money last year. And I'm like, I find every time I see myself going back in to do the job, what as we grow, I hire the next specialist to handle those things. And I know there's probably a lot of animosity at work because they're like, what does he do? He just keeps hiring these people, and the company keeps growing. But no longer do I have pride in saying I can outwork people.
Did that change? Did you used to be the guy that said I can outwork you?
Well, yeah, that was me. I mean, I would be work nights, weekends, holidays. I had the emergency truck. If there was a midnight call, I'd go run it till 2014. I was like side hustles. I was like, don't put all your eggs in one basket. And one of my buddies said, Tommy, can you imagine if you put all your eggs in one basket? There's a great book called The One Thing by Gary Keller. And I'm focused on doing the one thing, not all these side hustles that don't add up to anything. And, I quote a lot of books just because I became an avid reader. And I think if somebody's willing to put their life lessons into a book, you should read them and you should learn from them. I think readers are leaders, and I think it changes the way your brain works.
Have you always been a reader?
It's funny. In 2006, I found this CPA who only had 10 clients, all 10 million plus was their net worth. And I was talking to him and he goes, dude, I can't take you on as a client. You're just getting started. He goes, but I really like you. I might just work with you for free. He goes, what's the last book you read? I said, To Kill a Mockingbird in 11th grade. And he said, well, what don't you like about books? And I said, I just don't find anything I like in them. And at this time, I only was introduced to like the fiction section, I think. And he goes, well, this is the E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. Go read this book. Tell me what you think. I came back 2 days later and I was like, oh my God, they make books like this. What else you got for me? He goes, I call this the Red Bible. It's called The Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes. Bam, 2 days, blew through this book. I mean, I outlined it like he gave it to me. And I said, what else? He goes, The Richest Man in Babylon. And by the third book, I was hooked. It was like, so I went from 7 years of reading because from 2000 is when I graduated high school to 2000. Yes, I read term papers and I was going to school and I was studying, but I never read books and I never got into them. I think I read Goosebumps in middle school, that stupid book, like scary stories. But once I learned to love to read, I realized like right now I'm really big into feedback. So I ordered 13 books on feedback and I go read the summary of every chapter and I'll probably read 3 out of those 13, the best ones, because I'm like, somebody is the expert at this. How much could I take out of these books? And on my leadership team, we're just really big on these 360 feedback loops. I just was on with Gary Vaynerchuk last week, and he said what changed his company was kind candor, to where you're not always tearing people, ripping them up, telling them how bad they're doing, but just being honest with them, giving them real feedback. And I appreciate real feedback. Recently in a podcast, one of the gentlemen asked me, would you rather be loved or respected? And if you think about somebody that changed your life, like really, really changed your life, you probably respected them before you loved them. I mean, if it was like a coach or somebody in your life that literally told you, you know, I'm expecting more from you. I'm going to hold you to a high standard because you deserve to be held to a high standard. And I'm going to tell you stuff you don't want to hear, but it's going to be the best for you. And I think sometimes we don't want those people in our lives because we probably already know what they're going to say. But those are the people we respect, we want to do more for, and they don't call us out, they call us up. And when that's done properly, it's the best thing you could ever have.
And that speaks to picking who you spend your time with. It's easier to pick people that are just going to be nice and not call you out.
Yeah, it's really easy. I mean, misery loves misery. You'll call people that are like you, and you'll have the same conversations and the same pity parties and the same reasons why it's okay to do what you're doing. And when you start leveling up, I tell all the people in orientation at A1 Garage Door Service, I'm like, some of your friends aren't going to like it because they're going to say, what happened to my buddy that would go through a 24 pack with me? What happened to the guy? Let's go roll up a doobie. You know, what happened to you? And it's not a bad thing. They're not bad people because they want that, but they're still stuck. And the minute you go a little bit better, they kind of like you. They're like, hey, that's good for you. The minute you start jumping, they hate you. All of a sudden, the world turns on you. Like as success continues to happen in Australia, they call it tall poppy. In the Roman days, when the poppy trees would grow too tall, they'd cut them down to equal. And when you're starting to be successful, whether that's getting clean, whether that's getting a great job, whether that's going to church, things that are important to you, some people look at you and they say, well, you've changed. Well, yes, I did. You didn't. And you're still living this life where it's not adding up to anything. And really, when you learn to reflect, are you like, I just was on a podcast yesterday with the guy that's just sold for 2.5 billion. And he goes, I wrote down 187 things that make me extremely happy. And he goes, the vast majority of those things were free. And so this world is obsessed with money. But he goes, giving my daughter a hug and telling her how great she's doing, going to get an ice cream cone with my wife. And he just, this list he made, and it was pretty comprehensive. And he said, these really bring me joy. So do you ever take the time to make that list and say, these things mean a lot to me? Now, look, going to Hawaii on a vacation costs money. Some of these things do cost money. But unfortunately, we live in a society where money is praised. And money is, look, it's fun tickets. I'm not going to pretend it's not important because I made it important in my life. And it's easy for me to sit on this high horse and say it's not important, but yet, you know, that's all I strive for 2 decades.
Right. So let's talk about alcohol, coping, and clarity. You shared that you stepped away from alcohol for a period while you were working on your health. What prompted that?
So I went and got a DEXA scan. And a DEXA scan is the truest form of body fat. And I'm sitting in the room with the guy that did it, and he pointed to this chart on the wall. And he goes, yeah, you're considered obese And I was like, obese. I mean, I played football. I was always in really good shape. But he goes, your visceral fat, which is the deadly killer. It's the fat around your organs, is caused from alcohol. And he goes, you're at 6%, which you should be under 1%. So, that's heart attacks, that's strokes, that's a lot of bad things. So I was embarrassed. My cousin had called me Rachel. She was a physical therapist. She got a doctorate degree. And she goes, you know how much I love you? She goes, I'm one of your best friends. She goes, I'm going to be honest with you. Like the whole family's super proud of what you accomplished. You're writing books. You're talking on stages. You're doing really, really well. But why don't you love you?
Mm.
And I said, what are you talking about? I love me. She goes, go in the mirror and, no weird shit. But she goes, take off your shirt and tell me what you see. And I did that. And I looked and tears came out of my eyes because I was able to get out of the shower and just say, I'm busy. I got too much going on. It's hard to get to the gym. It's hard to eat right. I'm traveling all the time. I'm on planes. I'm at hotels. And it was a self-realization that I could do better. And a lot of people look up to me. And I can never talk from a stage talking down to people if I'm not going to live it myself. And that's when I got to 8% body fat. Now I'm working on getting back there. The two torn ligaments didn't help in my ankle, but now I'm back, baby.
What changed mentally when alcohol wasn't part of the picture?
Well, number one, I just had more energy. I was like, my brain was just on. My brother-in-law was like, dude, when you were on before your ankle, he goes, I never seen anybody like what you were doing. Like you had energy, you remembered everything, you always smiled, you were just all there. When you were in meetings, you were on camera, you were focused, and everybody recognized it. And all of a sudden, what I didn't anticipate was so many people now changing their habits, not because I told them to, but because I was living. They were like, well, this dude works just as much as I do. And yet he did it. He removed the excuses. I just had a buddy of mine, Jason Payne. I mean, the dude's got an 8-pack now. And I can show you guys some before and after pictures, but he's like, when I came to your event, I just decided no more bullshit. No more. Everyone's got to, I'm going to start after the wedding. I want to start after this. I'll get going here. And then but the accountability and who's going to hold you accountable is the difference maker.
So, what do you do now when stress spikes and you don't want to blow off steam in unhealthy ways?
Well, working out helps a lot. Working out, these long walks help. But the fact is, most stress is caused from indecision. Let's not making a decision. A lot of people are like, I would just wish, and they got these choices. I run towards failure, and I'm ready, fire, aim. A lot of people are sitting there trying to figure out how to load the gun. I missed the target 100 times. Now I'm hitting the bullseye every time. Like at our business and our culture and our family, if you fall down, you get back up and you keep going. I tend to fall forward. So many people are like, yeah, I'm just not sure if I want to do that yet. And they live in this land of procrastination and indecision for years, sometimes decades, rather than just get started.
Mm.
And I think that's why a lot of people stress out is, look, bills are tough, but like I was just one of those guys. I was a busboy at Cheesecake Factory making $5 an hour. My first job was washing dishes when I was 12. I shoveled snow before that. I was bartending. I was flipping cars, flipping total gyms and Bowflexes. I've always had 4 jobs till I started the business. I had a landscaping company that I was bringing in 30 grand a month, and I got rid of that. But I always knew, like, don't spend more than you make. I was always good at that. And, I always paid myself first. And that's one of the smartest things I ever did is I set up several bank accounts when my checks hit my bank account other than tips. They'd get spread out. So my Roth IRA got maxed out when I was 20. I'm 42 now. And I just said, that's not my money. I'm not going to use it. And in this world we live in, they don't teach you about money. And I hate that. But money is important. I mean, money is not the root of all evil, by the way. The love of money is the root of all evil. So this theory is you pay yourself first and let compound interest. Einstein said the largest thing in the universe is compound interest. When it's debt and credit cards and you buy stupid shit, it's working so hard against you. I took my grandma's car she gave me in 2000. It was a 96 Grand Am. I did a payday loan slash, the title to get back to Michigan. It was 26% interest. It took me 2 years to pay it off. And, yeah, that's just don't spend money you don't have. And some people will say, yes, if you have kids and they need stuff, I get that. It's a different, but I see a lot of people keeping up with the Joneses. They're not paying themselves first. They think they deserve. You don't deserve shit. Nobody deserves anything. The government doesn't deserve to pay you everything because you're an American. Like this idea that everybody owes me, woe me. I know those people. I know them very well, and they're in the same spot they were 10 years ago. Instead of saying I'm the one that's going to go make this happen.
Going back to indecision, I like talking about indecision because it's like you turn right, you turn left. Like doesn't really matter as long as you make a decision. If you make a decision, you're moving forward.
100%.
And what are some of the decisions that have held you back?
Well, 42, no kids, never been married. I was married to work, so I'm just going to be an old ass dad. But yeah, that was a decision that there was a lot of sacrifices. Look, I'm happy. One of my main goals, like, what do I want on my casket? I wanted to be the best effing dad that ever lived. That's probably the most important thing. What comes with that is husband, and I want to be the most curious guy. But I would say a lot of the stuff suffered because I was so like I got a lot of buddies. They're like, "When are you going to come on this trip?" And I'm like, so a couple of my best friends from Michigan are in my backyard. This was about a year ago. And I showed him my schedule. I showed him why I can't make certain things and why I make certain sacrifices. He goes, Tommy, he goes, F that, dude. He goes, I would never want to live that life. I go, I know. I've seen where you live in Michigan and I see your life. And I wasn't meaning to be a dick to him, but I go, dude, you will never have the sacrifices it takes. But then there's the opposite spectrum where everything's a sacrifice. So now I'm like going on trips. Now I'm having a lot of fun. We're building a house in Idaho. And I put the work in, let the compound interest do its job. So now I'm putting a lot of time into relationships. But if I think about it, when I was a busboy, I mean, working at Cheesecake Factory and Melting Pot and PF Chang's, I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of friendships there. So I just never, I really do like to work. I really like to be useful with my time. But if there's somebody I could hire that's smarter that could get me to the finish line quicker, I'll do that all day.
Right, right. So going back to alcohol, what was the biggest thing that surprised you when you removed alcohol from your life?
For me, it was like I wasn't really a day drinker. I was like a binge drinker. So I feel so good on Fridays, like, oh, ready to conquer the world. And then I'm like, let's go drink. Let's go party. I mean, it wasn't like I'd go just to the bar and start doing shots, but we'd go to a nice dinner. I'd have a few martinis and then I'd go home and have several beers or whatever. But this euphoria feeling, it can last a lot longer right past that hangover that I had every weekend. So I will say, I hate the people that say you're not getting any younger, you're not who you used to be, because I'm like, I hate that because I still feel young. But I will tell you, the hangover started kicking my ass a little bit harder as I got a little bit older. And you know what? I've really made a priority is sleep. I mean, it's not uncommon. I'm getting at least 8 hours, sometimes 9. And I know some people, I hate those people that are like, well, I only get 4 hours and I do fine. I'm like, yeah, but there's study after study after study said that's not healthy. It's bad for your body. It's bad for your brain. So I prioritize sleep. That's another thing I did when I stopped drinking. And I think that's important.
Yeah, I'd say that's one of my priorities as well as sleep. It hasn't always been, and I used to be good on 5 or 6 hours, and now I'm like you. I try to get 8 or 9 hours.
It's the way to do it. Look, there's a lot of things you could do that are simple things like, I think it's less than 3% of the population in the world will actually sprint hardcore after the age of 40.
Hmm.
So when you could just do these little things, I'll tell you this, it sucks. Like I got this thing called the assault bike.
Hmm.
And you get going on that thing for 3 minutes as fast as you could. You get off and you're a little bit winded and you're like, ugh. But man, for the next 3 hours, you're like, I can freaking conquer the world.
Yeah.
So you start getting these endorphins and serotonin and all these different things from other places. And it feels amazing. And when you wake up and you feel good, like there are days when you're hungover, you get up and you're like, and you're eating shitty. And then that bad food is like a weight on top of it. And by the way, I have nobody to ridicule in this room or anywhere else. Like, I understand it. I just feel like I don't need it.
Yeah. Yeah, I like what you're talking about. It doesn't matter how you feel, it matters what you do. And so I know that if I do a cold plunge, I'm going to feel better on the other side. I know if I exercise, I know if I go for a hike, I'm going to feel better on the other side. That's why we drink. We drink to numb, we drink to feel good. We do drugs to feel good. And so if we can find some other things that are going to make us feel good on the other side, that would be one of the goals, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, look, listen, there are a lot of other things. It's just hard to figure them out. I was with Cameron Harold, and he said, "What do you like to do outside of work?" Because I told him I love to work, and he goes, "That's bullshit." He'll call you out. He'll say, "When you were 14, what'd you love to do?" He goes, "You got to have fun things that you love to do,
Yeah.
and you got to figure out those things and get back into them again. And if you can do that, you're going to find a lot of happiness, and there's a lot of fun created. And you just got to look at every day and say, man, I had a great time. Today was a good day. Today was a great day. And there's a lot to be thankful for."
I remember having a conversation with Cameron Harold, and he talked about going for a walk or going for a hike. And he's like, not just to go and break records. Like, you got to just go for a walk, smell the flowers, enjoy the air, enjoy the sun, enjoy the environment, laugh. And it's like, huh, okay, that's a good point.
I can get very agitated with simple things, but what I've learned to say, take a deep breath and say, I'm choosing to be happy. Control what I can control. Deal with, I'm very good at dealing with things now. I wouldn't say I'd always been, but I'm like, look, I can't change that. Woe is me. I can't go backwards in time. When I screwed up my ankle, it was a volleyball accident. My fiance was like, "Dude, you're an idiot. You're so stupid. You shouldn't have been playing it," because it was uneven ground in Colorado. And I just had got out of another thing with my ankle, and I'm like, "Well, I'm done with it. I'll deal with it now. It's over. I'm never gonna say I wish that never happened because the history is over. It's important what history's taught us. I'm not gonna go play volleyball on uneven ground ever again. But it's important to say, this is where I'm at today, and here's what I'm gonna do tomorrow." And I think a lot of people, they live in the past. Everything about them is, that divorce or the kids or the job or whatever happened. And they just live in this realm of things that happened. I mean, look, my mom and dad, it wasn't the easiest marriage. They got divorced when I was pretty young. I didn't get beat. I didn't get it molested. I didn't have, like, compared to some people that have been through the ringer. Like, but I met a lot of people through Joe, through the people that I work with that have literally said, I can't change that, but I can deal with it and I could release it and I could forgive. And it's not easy. It's not easy to forgive somebody, but the way to take back power is to forgive. It's to get rid of those things, to say, I'm releasing, because no one else should have control over you or what happened to you. Because if something bad happened with mom or dad or grandpa or Uncle Pete or whatever it is, if you can let those things go and say, I'm releasing this. And it's not easy. I've been through a lot of programs with these kind of things that you got to confront them. And some people need different ways. They need coping mechanisms. Some people use ketamine or ayahuasca and different things like that to just release these things. But for me, it's just been saying, okay, this is done. They're not going to control me. I'm not going to, and it's in the deepest part of your brain. It's a subconscious.
Yeah. I'm reading Michael Singer's latest book, Living Untethered. Right.
I haven't read that.
It's a good one. And I mean, I'm just thinking about all the things that have happened in the past. You can't control those things. You can't change those things. And living in the past I'm never going to feel good. I'm going to have this yucky feeling right here. So being able to release those things, releasing the things that I can't control and the things that I can't change. I can't change the weather. So complaining about the weather is not going to make anything better.
No, you moved to Arizona.
Yeah.
I was outside of the summer.
Yeah, it's a little hot here, but it's okay. Get up early.
Yeah, make your bed. It's those habits will change your life. These little habits about just little wins throughout the day. If you can start your day with a few wins, it's amazing how much better your day will be.
Do you do a gratitude list?
It's a short. I've got a vision board, and I try to say 3 things I'm grateful for every day. But I don't journal. That's one of the things. So what I have here, I've got my goals this year. So I bought Jesse Itzer's big ass calendar. It's like $60, and it's got the whole year on it on things that are a must for me. Time with mom, time with dad, time with my niece, nephews. There's things that have to happen. I time block what the most important priorities are. And then I've got a whole document here of my life at 45, which is 2.5 years from now. And what needs to happen to get to that level? What do I need to manifest? What things do I need to do? And it goes through my 6 steps: family and friends, faith, fun, future self, finance, and fitness. And every one of those are separate goals. And I think that kind of encompasses everything I need.
Yeah. And I think that you put something like that on paper, it's like your subconscious mind is working. What do we have? 50 to 60,000 thoughts per day. 90% of them are subconscious. And if I start putting things on paper and I start talking about things, even without me knowing, those things start to happen.
Yeah, you're right. If you could manifest it, reverse engineer it, and say, what would I need to do today? And well, unfortunately, it doesn't happen overnight. Like, you got fat in the last decade. So it might take a few months to see results. And I'm like, I want results now. Like, I want the shortcuts. But consistency, like, you're never going to get better teeth if you brush your teeth for 10 hours straight. You're not going to have great teeth. But just 2 minutes in the morning, 2 minutes after a meal, 2 minutes at night, you'll have great teeth. And it's this consistent pattern. And what happens is people start seeing the changes, and it keeps you going. And people that have a serious problem, that's why AA works so well, is there's accountability there. And what you don't realize at certain levels of alcoholism and drugs is the people it's tearing apart around you.
And
It's very selfish, but I understand. It's truly like I've never done heroin, but I know that one is like you're gonna steal from your grandma, you're gonna sell her house.
Right.
And it's not even you. It's your brain is just being held captive. And so I don't want to blame the drugs or you. You just got to find a way out and make sure you never go back.
Yeah. I think it's one of the things you said made me think about, it's like we want change right now. We want to stop drinking. And I see people that get sober and after 30 days, they start making amends and they want everybody to forgive them. It's like it doesn't happen that quickly. It's like, well, I don't understand. I've changed. I'm sober now, but my family still doesn't want to accept me. And really, it's like with AA. You go to a meeting every day. You do a gratitude list. It's the very small incremental change is what is going to change someone's life. And it's just like an airplane. If an airplane takes off and you're headed towards New York, if you're like 1 degree off, you're going to end up in Florida
Yep.
or something like that. It's the showing up every single day and doing the next right thing and prayer and meditation and exercise and getting enough sleep. These are all the things, and doing things that are going to give us a dopamine boost and give us serotonin, the cold plunge, exercise, sleep, eating the right foods. These are all the things that are going to lead to a better life, because at the end of the day, we just want to be happy.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy some parts of the day. Not so happy certain part. I don't like this. I just want to be happy. What does that even mean? I will say I want an abundant life full of rich relationships, because there's times in the day. I don't want to say I'm overwhelmingly happy, but I'll say one thing that I was thinking about is most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in 5. And it takes patience and consistency and a little bit of discipline. And I'd rather be more disciplined. That's probably the number one characteristic, is this idea of discipline. And if you work on your discipline skills, and that happens for me through accountability with other people. But if you got good at those things, it's amazing what you can accomplish. And there's 5 languages, 5 love languages, and understanding how you want to interpret love and let people know around you. I'm probably more of a words of affirmation. I am a hugger, but not really. Like, certain people you need to show. There's gifts. I think my fiance is more of a gifting person.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. There's a lot of this stuff that if you study trauma, everybody has trauma in their life. For someone that grew up in a very good household, it could be their cat died. But that trauma could be worse than watching somebody get killed. It's just, how do you deal with trauma? There's somebody that has some people. I grew up in Detroit, uh, not super far from 8 Mile, and there's certain things that I'd see, and you kind of build like this tolerance for it. But there's a lot I've learned at Joe Polish's group, just talking about trauma and forgiveness. And Mary, were you there with Mary? I forget her last name, but she had been raped as a child, and she went to all the prisons and all the rapists in this room, and she told the guards to leave, and she'd stay there alone with them, and she'd hug them all and say, "I forgive you." And that type of I don't understand where she was coming from or how that was possible, but understanding what trauma caused us to go in this direction and trying to figure out the root of that and try to become one with it and just overcome that.
Yeah. So speaking to accountability, do you have what's one thing that someone can do to start creating accountability in their life?
So if you want to be a bad person, maybe a bad husband that's not loyal to your wife, you might find a guy that likes to go to the strip club and you go to the strip club every night. If you wanted to be really, really good and you chose faith being number one in your life, you'd probably find somebody at the church that's super dedicated, that's going a couple nights a week, that's having daily prayers, and you'll meet them. And hopefully it's in person. So I like to say people like neighbors, somebody you could get to within a 5-minute walk. But what I did is I called all the neighbors that I really like, and I say, "Will you do the cold plunge with me once a week?"
Mhm.
And if you got 5 of them, you're knocking 5 days out. And will you go with the walk with me for 45 minutes once a week?
Mhm.
And so there's a little variety there. And I said, one thing, if you're going to do this, you can't cancel. That, I know life happens and travel happens, but if we say we're going to do this, let's lock in each week and each month, and we can kind of work around each other's schedules. But just don't cancel on me last minute, because if you do, you're replaced. It's not that we're not friends. It's no big deal. I still hold you at the highest regard. But I'm going to tell you right now that I'm not looking for people that are just pushovers.
Right. So find someone that you can be accountable with.
Yeah, and you got to hold
That
up
works.
yourself too. Yeah, 100%. And then why is what's the goal for me? Walking is it's a stress relief. It's really really healthy. It's getting me to my fitness goals. There's a lot of things that does for me.
Mhm.
It allows me to reflect, which is a rare thing. People don't reflect enough. And I choose to walk a lot of I'll do a couple walks on my own, but not the long walk. I like to go with people on that. And I do sometimes by myself. I don't even bring headphones. I literally just walk and think.
Mhm. Love that. So I think I want to open it up to you guys. This has been a great conversation
Yeah, I
so far,
appreciate it.
and I want to hand it out, open it up to you guys. You guys have any questions for Tommy? Anything that he said that's resonated with you that you want to comment on?
Yeah, I have a question on delegation. I know that's probably a typical one.
Yeah.
How you learn that delegation, how you give over responsibility to people and kind of trust that they're going to take care of it. Because I know that's one that I struggle with is I just want to take everything on myself because I'm at the end of the day, I'm responsible for it. I'm accountable for it. How do you get that delegation trust and kind of turn it over to somebody?
So I hired a consultant in 2017. His name's Al Levy. And he said most people don't delegate, they dump. So he gave me 8 things. Here's what needs to get done. Here's why it needs to get done. Here's the resources you have to get it done. Here's the timeline. Here's what you get when you get it done. And now we fill out these forms. And then the person you're assigning it to, you both sign it. And what'll happen when you sign your old John Hancock is they'll go, wait a minute, what am I signing here? It's just like the psychology of it. And you say, you're saying that you're going to get it done. And there's what's in it for you. And there's also, if you don't hit it on this timeline, and then we'll talk through it and then we'll make sure they understand. Now they got to repeat back to me exactly what's expected. Most people say, hey, can you go do this? And then they do it completely wrong. Like it's not done properly. But what if I said to my assistant, book me a ticket to Michigan? She could have me on 3 layovers. She could pick Frontier Airlines, and I got 2 bags, and I'm paying $200 a bag. So there needs to be more direction involved in it, and they got to make sure that they understand what you're delegating.
Set expectations.
Yeah,
Other questions?
I'm sorry. Can I just clarify? Are you sober or not?
yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure.
I'm not sober for life. I'm not saying I'm never going to drink again.
Okay.
I'm not in a program or anything, but I just right now I'm on a fitness journey, and yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing in this room.
Forgive me, I walked out of the room when you started talking about stipends because that really irked me a little bit. And maybe you covered this, but I didn't hear it. What are you doing for your community? There's a lot of improvis people that can't rise above. There's a lot of restrictions on how people operate in the society. So what are you doing to give back to people that don't have the advantage of being a white male with your privilege?
Yeah. So, well, we just donated $1 million to the church because that's something I could get behind. We do every single thing from Make a Wish to Wounded Warrior. I volunteer time. We painted the YMCA. We do help hungry children. I would say the majority of our staff at our office is female. There's 4 women technicians in the field, and we'd hire every single one of them. They just don't apply. But yeah, I think it's important that black, white, Cuban, or Asian, male, female, old or young, we're going to give as much as we possibly can. The problem when it's given through the government is it goes to bureaucracy, and we can see what's going on with a lot of these programs. They don't make it to the end user. So that's why I like giving straight to the source, because if you're truly going to give, there's certain nonprofits that literally the CEO makes $5 million. So I like to give straight to people. We did for Thanksgiving, we handed out 200 turkeys. I was with my group of people that did that. For Christmas. We we bought 2 truckloads of gifts for kids because I think every kid should have a gift for Christmas. But we're always looking for great causes. Right now, we give millions and millions and millions of dollars to charity and to great causes. And I think we're just getting started with that. That's what I meant with die with zero, is don't hoard all the money. Learn to see what happens with the money. I think a lot of people, they don't even get to enjoy what impact they have in the world. So
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think that people need mentors and things of that nature. So
with that Genius Youth, I'm volunteering with a couple. They haven't assigned me any kids yet, but I want to help out as many kids as I possibly can. It's very, very hard, I would say, because I also have 1,300 people depending on me. I think some people give to charity to get on the news. I'd rather look at the single mom with bald tires trying to, pay for 5 kids and make sure that everybody in my own backyard is winning first. I'm not trying to do these publicity stunts. I want to make sure the people that depend on me the most, I'm there for. And some of these male, female, they didn't have a dad growing up. They never were taught how to read. And those are the people I want to work with the most, and the people that I'm responsible to be a good mentor for.
Keith, Jackie, do you guys have questions?
So you mentioned what you were saying about feedback was, I think, pretty powerful. That your good feedback is a call up, not a call out.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering if you received any feedback recently that could kind of talk to that a little bit.
I'm the type of person that I just say, tell me all the bad news. Tell me what I need to work on. I was on a call yesterday, kind of a mentoring call. He's mentoring me. And he said, you need to learn how to frame better. And he's just walking through all the things that I could be better at. And there's a great book called Firm Feedback in a Fragile World. And there's another great book called Fierce Conversations. That most people do not want to be given the feedback because they're going to get very defensive. So when I do it, I say this comes with love. I know to be very open, but it's very, very hard because now we got these generational gaps. And it's very hard to be baby boomers just like to work. They were going to stay at their job for 30 years. They didn't enjoy it. I'm right at the edge of millennial. I want to have a stake. I want to know, what is this going to do for me? How are you going to grow me? There's different. And by the way, I love every generation. They all have so many good things, but they communicate differently. By the way, my niece and nephews, they're like Gen X, Gen Z. They are machines. They can hack into, they know ChatGPT and all these different Gemini, and they can build websites with a click of a button. So it's understanding the power that they have. But feedback is difficult and hard to hear, but when it's done correctly and it comes from a place of love, it'll be the best thing possible, because nobody should be walking on eggshells wondering if I'm doing great or not. And what do I need to work on? And why don't you be transparent with me and just let me know how I could do better, because I want to do better. And I think that's actually, you're not doing anybody favors by not giving them feedback. And I think, I'm not a dad yet. I'm not a parent yet, but I'm not going to read books on parenting. I'm going to look at the kids that I see are well-behaved, that respect and love their parents, and that love life. And I'm going to ask those parents because success leaves clues everywhere. And what if I told you if you want to get to the top of Google or learn how to be an influencer or learn how to do a reseller through TikTok, all you got to do is pick up the phone and not fear rejection. Someone's going to say yes. I've been very fortunate that people let me in without knowing me, gave me all the answers I needed, and never asked for anything in return. But that's one thing that I'll tell you guys is don't be afraid of rejection because you'd be surprised how many people will help out just by asking.
Awesome. Thanks.
Speaking to hard conversations, I think one of the most powerful things that I've learned in sobriety is one, how to have hard conversations, and two, I always start with gratitude, and you kind of started to speak to this, and it's how you deliver the news or the feedback. It's whether it's my girlfriend, whether it's an employee, whether it's a friend. It's like I always start with gratitude. I love you. I love our relationship. I want to continue building our relationship. And what I noticed is XYZ. And for me, that's always worked really well. And that's even in breakup conversations. It's always like I'm so grateful for this opportunity. I'm so grateful for our relationship. And this is not a good fit. Has worked really well for me.
I mean, I'm no expert in personal relationships by any means, but I would say with the people I work with, I like to set the expectations out front before you want to work. Are you willing to better your best? And what's your big why behind this? And like, what are you doing it for? And mostly what I want to hear is, I'm ready to go to the next level. And I want to win. I want to participate. I'm a good team player. And I'll always remember and write these. We write down their big goals, big, hairy, audacious goals. We've got a full-time dream manager. Our job is to help people on our team start dreaming big again and removing all of the things that are interfering with their dreams, especially the things that they can't control.
Right. Any other questions?
I think it's important that you in a company that when you're giving back to bring people up in the training, do you guys have a good training program in the company where you're taking a technician and kind of building them up within your industry?
Yeah, the 95% of our technicians never were in the field before. So we've got a pretty massive training center. And I don't care if you're good at sales. I just care that you smile, you make eye contact. When you talk, you mean it. If you say you're going to do something, you keep your word, you respect things. I think it's hard to teach people to, like, when I walk up to a house, I'm going to say, yes, ma'am, thank you so much. And that's something I just look for. Call it the old Southern charm or something, but just being very respectful of saying, listen, we're glad we earned your business today. We know you have a choice out there. We want to do the job right, make sure your door is safe, and we want to be your garage door company for life. And we really appreciate it. It doesn't cost anything to smile. Very few people do it these days. So we practice in the training center in front of mirrors, smiling and talking. And it's definitely not easy. And it doesn't cost anything, but it definitely our job is to change everything if they want to change. And just these things of being well-mannered and being nice to people and finding the best in people is free. And they can use it outside of work.
So if someone here is trying to break a pattern that looks productive but isn't healthy, where should they start?
I think we talked about it, just admitting that it's a problem and then finding some accountability. Like I said, success leaves clues. Find somebody who you really love, not somebody famous or an actor or somebody like a TikTok influencer, but find somebody you know that you respect and just say, will you help me? I really appreciate it. My favorite 3 letters is ASK, ask. And my dad and my grandfather were not the type of people. They'd go in the wrong direction 2 hours because they didn't want to ask for help. And I just learned from a long time ago is if they say no, I'm no worse off.
Right.
But a lot of times they say yes.
Is there anything I missed? Anything I should have asked you that I didn't?
I just say, listen, life's not easy. We all have our ups and downs. Things don't always go our way. If you could identify the things that really mean a lot to you and that make you happy, do it. My mom texts me. I don't ask her to text me. I get about 3 to 4 text messages. Sometimes they're voice memos of just how much she loves me and that she'll do anything for me and that I'm very important to her. And I don't ask for that. I don't need that. I would say if you guys get an opportunity today, I'm sure you have somebody you love in your life. Maybe there's a parent or an aunt or a family friend or somebody you grew up with, but maybe send out a love bomb today. And just say, you could make it short and simple. Just say, I was thinking about you. You mean a lot to me. I probably don't tell you that enough. But tomorrow's not promised. So every chance you could to tell somebody how much you care about them, it'll make their day better. It'll make them smile. And I do believe it makes the world a better place. So if you could do that, just one text, one voice memo, that would make my day better if you did that.
It'll make your day better too.
Yeah, no, yeah. Look, I leave little Post-it notes on people's computers. Just I was thinking about you. I really appreciate you very much, and you're a great asset to me in this business. And that's it. I just bought a couple of gift cards for a few women in the company, and I said, I see how hard you're working, and it doesn't go unnoticed. I want you to go have a steak dinner, and you deserve it. And then I walked in two of the really probably the backbone of the company, Leanne and Joan's office, and there's no pictures of their family. So I got these pictures. I was able to get a hold of their significant others and get the pictures blown up. So I'm putting the pictures of their family in there just because I was like, hey, that's their happy space. So
where can people find you, connect with you, learn more about your business, your podcast?
Yeah, Tommy Mello, there's no W.com, has all my social media and everything.
Okay. All right, that's all the time we have.
Hey, I appreciate you guys listening. I know it sometimes isn't fun. So thanks for being in here and listening, and wish you guys all the best luck in the world.
All right, give it up for Tommy Mello.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much for listening to I Love Being Sober. I hope you got something valuable from today's episode. And if you're looking for more resources on recovery, mental health, or any of the therapies we talk about, head over to camelbackrecovery.com. You can find more episodes, blog posts, and ways to connect. Until next time, take care of yourself, keep growing, and keep living a kick-ass sober life.